He loved all children, and all children loved him. He was like a child magnet. If you walk into a room, children would just run to him. He was like the Pied Piper, actually. He loved his country. He knew how to roll with the punches. He was an excellent listener. I know a lot of people confided in things, and he was a great listener. He always looked for the silver lining. Didn't matter what was wrong in his life, even when my mom died, he looked for the silver lining. He had an excellent sense of humor and wit. Had some really corny jokes that we all memorized. He never spoke evil of anyone except maybe a Democrat or two. He loved being on stage, and he loved bringing joy to people. He loved making a lot of things, I'm sure, and he did that with his pageants. He stood up against abortion, and he wrote a lot of poems and a lot of editorials for the newspaper about that. And he broached many other subjects in regard to that. So you see his name in the editorial quite often. He was a peacemaker, and the Bible states in Matthew 5:9, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." He told rinky-dink stories. I don't know how many of you know about rinky-dink stories, kind of a family tradition. His dad told rinky-dink stories to his children, and they've all told rinky-dink stories all the way down to the 5th generation. A rinky-dink story is an adventure, and all of the characters in the story are the people who are listening. Okay, so if Mikey and Lauren were being told a rinky-dink story, they'd be the main characters. His favorite movie was Field of Dreams. If you build it, he will come. He loved that movie. He loved baseball, and he actually tried out for a professional baseball team in Florida at the age of 17. He was a great fielder, but he needed maturity and practice. They said he had a lot of potential to please come back, but he never did. He met my mom, and life went on. He played baseball or softball right up into his 80. Yep, 80 years old. Yeah, there you go. They used to put the number on his shirt, how old he was, which is great. Just to remind people, you can do it. His favorite musicals were Fiddler on the Roof and The Sound of Music. He was a human calculator. Any math problem he could solve, he should have been on one of those shows. And an encyclopedia of history, he loved history. He always had a way of making everybody feel very special. And before he died, Dad had an opportunity to speak to individual family members and to share his feelings with us. And he said he wanted to live, but that if he died, he knew he would go to be with Jesus and Mom. He stated to me that he wanted to live 10 more years. And I said, Dad, what would you do with those 10 more years? And he said, first of all, I don't want to leave because I would miss you all very much. And second, no. Second, all right. Second, tell everybody. I can't read the handwriting. Second, to tell everybody he meant what Jesus did for him. And he had an experience with God about 7 weeks ago, and he wanted us to share that with you. He called Debbie and I on a Wednesday night, and what had transpired was on a Tuesday, my sister had given him some healing scriptures that he read, and he was very excited about that. And he repented, and he cried out to God for mercy, and he asked God to let him live. And he just asked God to forgive him for anything he'd ever done. And the following night, Wednesday, he was reading those same scriptures again. And he said, God came into his room. He felt him encompass him about. It was such a tremendous spiritual experience. He said God changed his life, his heart, his mind, his thoughts. He was washed clean. He felt free. He had never had an experience like that in his life. And he said he knew right then that he had been healed. But later on, in reflecting, he said he then realized he was born again. And the only way to get to heaven is to be born again. So what he wanted me to share with you, what he wanted to do with those 10 years was tell everybody what Jesus did for him. So we're going to tell you it was very real. And what he wants you to know today is you can be born again by repenting, calling out to God, asking him to forgive your sins, realize you've sinned against a holy God, and ask God to forgive you and cleanse you. And you can be in heaven with God someday, which is where he all wants you to do. Let's see. One of my dad's favorite sayings, and he said this to us a lot throughout life. All of our family members have heard him say it. He said, you know, when someone dies, someone you love dies, you wish, could we just rewind time? Could we have 2 more weeks, another month, just 1 more day to hug them, touch them, talk to them, look at them? He said, but you know what? He said, poof, your wish has been granted, it's come true. He said, the people you love are still right here next to you. He said, love them while you can. Don't let a minute go by without telling them that you love them. I think Dad would say to all of you right now, if there is someone you love and you have any ought against them, he said, forgive them, do things with them, help them, and enjoy them while you have them. And to my family, as hard as it is, we need to live on for our children and our grandchildren. And when we look into the faces of our loved ones, I was telling our family last night that we have to see a little bit of gratitude in every one of us. I praise God that he gave my dad 82 wonderful years on this earth. He was a wonderful man. He's going to be sorely missed. And he's inspired us to forge on and to do what he couldn't do, and to share with people how beautiful the reality of God is. When you are truly born again, there's no fear in death. And Daddy told us just before he died, he said, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I know I'm going to go be with Jesus. And then he told you or Sheila, he said, Brenn's waiting for me. She waited 22 years. She was very patient. Daddy's walking on streets of gold with my mom and Jesus, where there's no pain, no sorrow, no tears, just complete joy. And he wants all of us to